Good morning and happy Monday! It's Monday and it's actually another snow day here a little bit, although I think all of the snow is going to melt, but you can see we still have some snow in the Nashville area, so that's pretty exciting, but I am ready for it to get warm again. I think that I have fully acclimated from Kansas to Nashville because it is cold here. It feels so cold and I am so ready for it to be warm again. So good morning. I'm so glad to have you all here. For those of you who are new, my name is Crystal Payne and I am the founder of MoneySavingMom.com, as well as the creator of the 14-day online course called Makeover Your Mornings, and that's at makeoveryourmornings.com. And yay, you can comment! Okay, so today we are going to be talking about how to get up early even when you have a crazy, ever-changing schedule. This is a question that was submitted by a reader, and I thought it was really good, and I thought it was something that we should address. And so I am going to attempt to address it. Second week of waking up early, way to go. This is my third week, and this morning my bed felt so warm and the room felt so cold, and it took a lot of mental convincing, but finally decided I'm gonna get up because I know that I'm gonna be grateful that I did later on. Okay, so this question comes from Amy, and Amy said, you're watching in the grocery store parking lot. Okay, so Amy said, just a second, almost blocked Stacy, don't wanna block Stacy. She said, I'm a homeschooling mom of 4 with a wonderful husband who has a weird work schedule. For 3 days in a row, he has to be up and out the door by 4:30 a.m. Then he gets 3 days off with no set wake-up time. So he and we sleep in to catch up on the wings we missed the last 3 days. Then every 2 months, he switches to being out the door by 5:15 p.m., working all night, arriving home an hour or so before the kids wake up. I stay up late to see him over his lunch, quote unquote, at 11 p.m., but then am dragging the next day, and for the 2 months. It seems once we finally get a rhythm going with bedtime and wake time, the times switch, and we start over again. And so she was just wondering, did I have any advice about this situation? Now, full disclosure, I have never had my husband on second shift or a weird shift. But since the time we've gotten married, well, there's been seasons where we've had some kind of regular work hours, but for the majority of our marriage, we have had weird work hours because he was in school and he was working part-time, and then he had some jobs where he had to commute long distances and very stressful jobs, long hours, and then he was self-employed, and he's been self-employed for a number of years. And I am also self-employed, and so that means that our schedule has been very weird for years, and I travel some and he travels some, and so it's never been like we've had periods of time where he had sort of an 8-to-5 job, but those were short periods in the grand scheme of our 13 years of marriage. And so I wanted to share some things that I learned from that. I can't relate totally to Amy's situation because I haven't had a husband who works nights, but I want to share things that I have learned from having a schedule that changes often, and some thoughts on that. And then I'd love to hear from the rest of you if you have a husband who works in the night or works weird shifts, or you've dealt with that, how it works for you. But this is just for anyone who you have a schedule that changes often, or maybe you have toddlers or babies who are waking up in the night and it feels like every night is very different and it's always unpredictable. So number 1, don't compare. You probably knew I was going to say this, but don't compare. I think it's so easy for us to think, you know what? If I just had a husband who worked an 8-to-5 job and we just had some normalcy in this home, we could get our act together. And it's so easy to feel like if only, and to look at other people's lives and to think, they have it so much better, they have it so much easier, if only. instead of saying, you know what, this is the ground I am planted on, this is the schedule we have, this is the situation we have, and we are going to make the most of it. Every single one of our lives are different, but just because our lives are different doesn't mean that because someone's husband works an 8-to-5 job, they are exempt from struggles and issues. Everyone has their own set of struggles and issues. So just do you and focus on where you are and make the most of your situation. I had to stop feeling guilty. For years, I struggled with the fact that I worked from home. I have, during certain seasons of our life, I have been our breadwinner. And my husband was in school, or when he was starting his law firm, I've been the breadwinner. And I struggled with that because I thought, I just want to be a stay-at-home mom. I don't want to have to do this. And realizing, you know what, God is providing for our family through this different set of circumstances than I would have envisioned when we got married. And I need to accept that provision from his hand and do the best that I can with what he's called me to. So don't compare. Stop feeling guilty or stop wishing you could be in someone else's shoes. Number 2, get on the same page as your spouse. If you are married, you have got to learn how to communicate with your spouse. This is like the number one thing that kills marriages, kills romance, kills intimacy, is communication. Learn to communicate with your spouse and really want to get on the same page as them instead of, I think as women, we can look at someone else's life and we can think, oh my goodness, look how they do their life. We should do our life like that. And so then you tell your husband, this is how we're going to do it. And you nag and drag him along. He's miserable. You're not on the same page. You're not thinking about his needs and your family situation. You're just feeling like we should do this. And so you're trying to get your whole family to do it with you instead of sitting down and saying, you know what? This isn't working. What can we do to work together to try to fix this situation? Working together. So 2, be on the same page as your spouse. Your marriage is so much more important than having a perfect schedule or getting up early. Your marriage is so much more important than having a perfect schedule or getting up early. I really want you to let that sink in because at the end of your life, you are going to look back. And do you want to look back and say, you know what? I had that great perfect schedule, but I ran over my family and my husband in the process. Or do you want to say, you know what? It wasn't the schedule that my friend Sally had, and it was kind of chaotic at times, but you know what? I put our marriage first, and I communicated with my husband, and I said, what do you need? How can we work on this together? There's so much beauty in that. When my husband and I got married, was type AA, and he was kind of type Z. And it was really, really hard to meld those two types together. And for the first few years of our marriage, I tried so hard to get my husband to get on the same page as me. I was like, I'm going to fix that boy. I'm going to fix him. But you know what? That does not work. It does not work. I needed to be fixed. I needed to work on fixing me instead of being miserable and making him miserable trying to fix him. We have a little visitor. You going to come say good morning?
Good morning.
You got spiky hair. Okay, this is Silas. If you haven't met Silas before, he usually comes and visits. Are you trying to read? He's looking to see if there are any trolls. Guess what? There are hardly any trolls today. Yeah, so you don't have to block any trolls. Okay. Are you going to sit with me for a little while?
Yep.
Okay. There's so many. Whoops, we didn't get them. Okay. So, your marriage is more important than a perfect schedule. Get on the same page as your spouse. Really listen to them. Really hear what are their needs. What would make them happy? What would they love to set up as a schedule? How can you guys work together on this? instead of just fighting and just going against each other and trying to get your own way. You might get your own way, but you can lose your marriage or be miserable, or both in the process. So number 1, don't compare. Number 2, be on the same page as your spouse. Number 3, focus on a routine. I love that, Cynthia. Fight for each other instead of against each other. So number 3, focus on a routine. We can stress out about trying to have the perfect schedule. But I just really want to challenge you to stop stressing over getting it just perfect. Life happens. There are hard things that come up, and there's going to be a whole lot of imperfect. If you just want to be honest, there's a whole lot of imperfect in life. So stop stressing about getting up at the perfect time and trying to have the perfect morning schedule. Instead, I really challenge you to start focusing on intentionally using the first 2 hours of your morning well. So no matter what time you get up, work on intentionally using those first 2 hours well. Because that's really what matters most. Okay, you're gonna have to fall now because I'm making funny faces. Okay, all right. Thanks for joining us for a little while. Okay, all right. Calm down. Stop. Okay, go be the daddy now, right? Okay. Thank you. Thanks for saying good morning. So start focus on intentionally using the first 2 hours of your morning well, no matter what time you get up. Maybe you're up at night with a baby. Maybe your husband's working a weird shift. Maybe your husband's out of town. Maybe you're a single mom and you're doing it all yourself. Start using the first 2 hours of your morning very intentionally and focus on that instead of trying to always get up at the perfect time. Challenge yourself to do the same 3 to 5 things every single morning, no matter what time you get up. So even if you get up 2 hours later than you did the day before, you can still get up and do the same 3 to 5 things. Your day is not blown just because you slept in. So number 1, don't compare. Number 2, be on the same page as your spouse. Number 3, focus on a routine. And number 4, this is something that I learned from the 5 a.m. miracle that we just went through, is to plan 2 to 3 different kinds of morning routines. So instead of trying to get that perfect routine that's always going to work every single morning, say, you know what? We can have these 3 different kinds of mornings. One is like this, maybe when he's working this shift, or when the baby sleeps through the night, or sort of sleeps through the night. And then one is like this, when we're up a lot in the night, or we went to bed late and we had a rough night, and it's going to look like this. And so plan 2 to 3 different kinds of morning routines so that you are planning for the quote unexpected. You're planning for the interruptions. You're planning for the hard. You're planning for those nights when you have to be up a lot in the night. I loved this concept because I feel like it gives us so much freedom. So that if you need to sleep in, you can say, you know what, I got a plan for that. I already planned for that, and I have a plan. Maybe it's not as great of a plan as if you got up early, but it's a plan. And so then you don't wake up and say, you know what, it's 8:30 a.m. and I have bombed my whole entire day. No, you're like, okay, we are going to get up late plan, and this is what we do on the get up late plan. So think about, what are the typical variations that you have in your life? And how can you plan a good routine for those variations? And ultimately, just give yourself grace. It is never going to look perfect. Give yourself grace. You can waste so much time beating yourself up that's pointless. What is the point of beating yourself up? What does that do to advance you anywhere? It does nothing. It helps no one. So stop beating yourself up. Stop feeling guilty over things that are outside your control. Do the best you can do with the time, the energy, and the capacity that you have. And then just let the other stuff go. Just let it go. So that's what I wanted to share with you this morning. If you are struggling with your mornings and you haven't gotten a copy of my, or downloaded my 14-day online course called Makeover Your Mornings, that is at makeoveryourmornings.com, and you can scroll down to the bottom of the page and you can get day 1 for free if you'd like to check it out and see if it's a good fit for you. So that's at makeoveryourmornings.com. And I'm going to hop off and we are going to start this Rest Assured book that I'm so excited about. And I read ahead because I wanted to, I got kind of caught up in reading it yesterday and read ahead, and I'm really excited about it. So I'm going to hop off and do that. I'm not doing a scope this afternoon, a Money Making Mom scope, because I have meetings this afternoon and my mother's helper is stuck at home in the snow. And so guess what? I am on plan B for our routine today. When mother's helper doesn't come on Monday, I'm on plan B. But anyway, so there will be no Money Making Mom scope this afternoon, but I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope that you are able to just give yourself that grace and to just, live with intention and purpose and let the other stuff that doesn't really matter go. Have a great day.